it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel. And before I jump into today's video topic, which is a little bit more vulnerable for me to share, kind of one of my rough diabetes days that I had recently managing, I just wanted to say my apologies for not really being on YouTube and getting out videos. For those of you that do not know, I'm in semester 2 of dental hygiene school, and the semester just started 3 weeks ago. So I had to kind of figure out how to establish myself as far as, like the class routine. Once you get established into that routine, you kind of get an idea of when your free time is and when you don't have free time. So now I can kind of get an idea of when I can film and edit and try to get videos up once or twice a week again. So don't think I've forgotten about you. It's just that this dental hygiene career path that I have chosen, the education behind it is very, very hard and very, very fast paced. And on top of that, beyond taking the 12 or 13 credit course load I am taking as far as dental courses, I have clinic, which basically means I'm now treating my own patients, and I have to find my own patients for clinical experiences. From people of different age groups to people with different levels of gum disease and levels of buildup on their teeth. I have to find different people of different levels in order for me to progress to semester 3, and then obviously finding patients for semester 3, and then finding patients for the final semester, and then taking a board exam. So we have to recruit our own patients, so that makes it a little more challenging, making sure people are confirmed for their appointments. If there's any last minute changes, I have to have a backup plan, throw in a backup patient, use the call list. All these different things have come into play. So I didn't want to let you know that I didn't forget about you. It's just been kind of crazy busy, and I have surpassed 800 and 900 subscribers. I am less than 20 subscribers away from hitting 1,000, and I would have never ever have imagined my life to take this path. I would have never imagined myself going out on public broadcasting here on YouTube and sharing my life with type 1 diabetes, my life with dental hygiene school, my life in general. I would have never imagined my life to take the route it has, but I'm so blessed and thankful for the life I've been given. And honestly, there's reasons for everything, and there's a reason why I'm on here. There's a reason why I have type 1 diabetes. There's a reason why I'm pursuing different things in my life and helping other people and doing these different things. So thank you to those of you that have subscribed and have joined me, no matter if you've joined me from day one, which was about 1.5 years ago, to more recently and have found me just now. Thank you for joining me and building this great community with me. And it's amazing to learn from all your experiences and for me to share my experiences to help you. Now, I do have a couple great ideas for 800 to celebrate 800 and 900 subscribers. One I know you'll absolutely love, but I have to kind of put this together and figure out how I'm going to kind of do it. And then I said when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I will do some sort of giveaway again. So I think that's everything I have to get you guys caught up on. Again, I apologize for not being on here as regularly as I could have. Honestly, school and YouTube balance is kind of a difficult thing for those of you that do YouTube or understand where I'm coming from. If you're a student at college, like, it is a juggle to balance life with school, with a YouTube channel, and then on top of that, I have to manage autoimmune disease. So it's kind of like 30,000 different things coming at me from 20,000 different directions. So anyways, with that being said, let's jump into today's video topic. So today's video topic's a little bit more vulnerable for me to share, and I had a diabetes day that absolutely sucked, and I did go through kind of a mini burnout. It was just for the day. I never actually stayed in that burnout for weeks on end or anything like that. But I'm still, even though it's almost been 1 year, I have a very hard time taking more than 4 units for a meal, because of the fact that I went through an E. coli, what we think was I had E. coli. I had some sort of bacterial infection that caused me to throw up. Actually happened on my diaversary. I threw up a whole bunch of food with 4 or 5 units of insulin on board, and I had to fight it off. And that was very scary, and I thought I was going to have to go into the hospital and get sugar pumped in my veins or use glucagon. I thought I was going to pass out and all these different things. So ever since then, I have a very difficult time taking big doses of insulin for meals, and for a long time, at least for 2 weeks after, I definitely didn't take enough insulin for meals, knowing what it was going to do to me because I was scared that I was going to throw up again, and I would rather be high than low, kind of thing, and stuff like that. So I was kind of in a rough patch, and then I kind of got myself out of that patch. But I still kind of have this fear, not so much at home anymore. I've gotten past that, and it's only going to take time for me to get past this fear. It's going to be a long time coming. And trust me, if you're a type 1 diabetic and have thrown up before, with a lot of insulin on board, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't gone through this, you will go through this at some point, and you will go through that fear stage of trying to recover from worrying about dangerous low blood sugars. I still have this innate fear at a restaurant, and I tend to underbolus a lot at restaurants still. I'm getting better at it, at just saying take it and run with the flow, and whatever happens, happens. But at this particular restaurant, on this day that I had this burnout, I definitely way underdid the insulin. So I had breakfast at a restaurant. I had a pretty low carb breakfast with high protein, some carbohydrate. I definitely underbolused for it. And my blood sugar that morning, I think it was fairly good. It was like 130, and then all of a sudden, like after breakfast, it skyrocketed to 300, and I'm kind of like going, okay, well, I definitely didn't. I knew I induced this high myself, so I took a bunch of insulin, drank water, did exercise, did every single thing that I could to bring this high down, and I got it down to 200 or 170, and then I came to eat lunch with my family. We were celebrating my grandma's birthday. I took the appropriate amount of insulin for the lunch, and I'm like, you know what, do it, and you're gonna see what happens. And of course, what happened? Blood sugar went woo all the way back up to 240, and it just sat there for 3 hours. So for like a 12-hour period of time, I was between 200 and 300. If you don't know anything about high blood sugars and diabetes, it's like sitting at a high blood sugar for a short period of time, a few hours, is not really going to do a lot. When you're sitting at high blood sugars for 6, 7, 8+ hours, you don't know what you're doing to your body. You could be doing damage and you're not even realizing it. So of course I'm like having like crying, I'm having a heart attack, I'm thinking like, oh my God, what's going on? And I really didn't think it was my pump site, because I had good overnight basal rates. My blood sugars weren't high randomly. It wasn't as unexplainable. This was just more of a weird thing. So I definitely knew it wasn't my pump. So I just kind of ran with it, and I was taking injections to bring these highs down. And I'll get to you my tips, my 5 big tips for dealing with diabetes burnout days, or really bad, rough diabetes days that really kind of helped me get through it. But I was giving myself injections like crazy, drinking water like crazy, exercising, doing anything and everything in my power to get that blood sugar down. I was also dealing with a faulty sensor, so that wasn't making it easier. The G6 was getting older, and actually at one point it wasn't quite as high as I was. I will put my G6 graph in for the day, but at one point it told me I was riding at 250 for over 4 hours, but as a matter of fact I was actually at 200. It was reading me 50 points higher than what I actually was, which was rather irritating to me, because you know what, that's a big difference to me when it comes to take insulin. It's a huge difference to me when it comes to taking insulin. Like, taking a dose of at 250 for me is way different than 200. It's actually almost a difference of 1 unit of insulin for me. So I have to be rather careful, and I'm glad I tested my blood sugar and did finger prick to check and see how accurate my meter was to my CGM. So I took it, and it kind of came down, cleaned the house, and then it was good for the rest of the night. It was like almost like a 12-hour period of time where I was sitting in that really high blood sugar state, and during this time, like, I felt defeated. I was doing everything in my power, and my blood sugars were still being stubborn. It wasn't my pump site. I'm thinking it may have been hormonal related. I have no clue if that was part of it. I know definitely the beginning, I induced it with not taking enough insulin for breakfast, but my lunch dose should have not done that, per se, because I definitely took enough insulin for that lunch. Absolutely did. 100% know for a fact that I did. So I'm thinking of that latter half of those highs were hormonal based, and adding that hormonal base to not taking enough insulin at breakfast, it definitely shoved me up into 300 range. And that's the highest I've been since diagnosis, is like at 300, and it's not a fun feeling to sit at 300 and feel sick. I thank God I didn't have ketones. Thank God that, I was able to get it to come down, and then it kind of sat there and kind of went back up. But I just wanted to share with you that diabetes burnout days happen. The key is not to let them drag on and on and on and not have sitting at 2, 3, 400 plus blood sugars for a long time, because that's when you're going to be doing damage. It's one thing if you spike and come down. It's one thing if you go up and you fix it right away, or you don't stay that high for long. That's a different story. But sitting at those levels all day was making me feel tired. My eyes were dried out. My whole skin was dried out. I was just exhausted and tired, and you know, in those moments, I didn't want to fight anymore. I didn't want this disease anymore. I didn't want to fight it. This was enough. I had enough. There's no reason for anybody to be having to deal with this and be a bodily function. Definitely isn't fair, and it was definitely that kind of attitude I had that day. But when I finally got myself snapped out of it, it was so much better. And you know what? Day by day, I take it day by day, and I push myself through each day, and I do my best to be the best version of myself each day. So kind of want to share what my diabetes burnout went through, and I'll share the 5 tips that kind of helped me get through this burnout. Number 1, do not give up. You know, even if all your methods aren't working, it's eventually going to come down at some point. If the methods that I weren't using, like exercise, water, taking shots, was not working, I would have maybe tried changing my pump site if I thought it was bad. Maybe I would have changed my insulin vial. Maybe I would have, went online and found other resources, or tried drinking tons of more water and more water-based foods that weren't really high carb to try to shove that blood sugar down. Maybe try to reduce my stress and anxiety. Maybe that was something that was causing it. But there are some things that you can control hormonally. I can't control how much estrogen and progesterone is floating through my veins at any point during the day, or any point during the month for a lovely menstrual cycle, if you ladies know exactly what that's about. And that has a huge impact on your blood sugars. So I couldn't control that aspect, but I did everything I could to control it and understand why it kind of went that way, and I didn't give up. It's not the end of the world. Number 2, it's not the end of the world. You're not going to die from having a high blood sugar day for one day. Now, if your blood sugar continues to go up and it won't come down, or you have high ketones and you're vomiting and you don't feel good and nothing, what you're doing is helping you, you need to go to the hospital, because good chance you could be in diabetic ketoacidosis, and then you could have the end of the world, because diabetic ketoacidosis is deadly if not taken care of or not treated or reversed. And it does not take long for my body to go into severe diabetic ketoacidosis. I was at only a blood sugar of 513 with severe dehydration, and my kidneys were failing on me when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have high blood sugars. You got to recognize the symptoms of diabetic ketoacidosis and how you're feeling in addition to having those high blood sugars. So keep that in mind. It's not the end of the world, but it could be. So if you feel like nothing you're trying is working, or you're not feeling any better, you need to go seek medical attention. Number 3, which I kind of talked about in bits and pieces, is to troubleshoot. I obviously troubleshooted at the get-go and thought, oh no, I definitely didn't take enough insulin for that. So that was my first troubleshoot. And then when my high went up again, I'm thinking, okay, hormonal, maybe not enough water, try to get some more activity in you and see if that'll help. Maybe a bad pump site. Troubleshoot about 5 to 10 different things that could possibly be causing your high blood sugars. And after you kind of do that, maybe you can kind of pinpoint it. Now, maybe you'll never truly know what caused it, unless you know for a fact, okay, I needed 4 units of insulin for this meal and you only took 1. Well, then, yeah, obviously you know what caused it. But as far as the hormonal, the stressful things, the dehydration, you never would really know, unless you can really pinpoint it. Now, like, if I just tried one thing and drank a bunch of water and it dropped my blood sugar, well, then, yeah, I'm dehydrated. But typically when you're troubleshooting, you're going to be troubleshooting multiple different things at once. And usually one of those 3 keys will unlock your ability to drop that blood sugar down. So troubleshoot. That is a huge concept that I cannot stress enough to any type 1 diabetic. Troubleshoot, troubleshoot, troubleshoot. Number 4, go back to the basics. Meaning shots and finger sticks. If you have a CGM and a pump, they're great. However, with days that your blood sugar is running higher, test with a meter to really know what that blood sugar is at that very moment. When my blood sugar gets above 220, I actually do take an injection. I do not take a bolus from my pump, because number 1, I know I can get that somewhat high blood sugar down quick and back to a healthy level and safe level for me, without using the pump, and it's going to get it down quicker than my pump bolus will deliver it to me, because the pump kind of delivers insulin at a more slow rate. At least in my body, it delivers a little slower than just a big old shot in the stomach or in the arm. So I definitely use injections. And number 2, use your meter, because I'm very thankful I did, because it was constantly reading me at that 250 for a long time. Well, come to find out, I was high, but I wasn't 250. I was 200. And to me, being at a 200 for a while is a hell of a lot better than being at a 250 or 260 for a while. Neither one of them are ideal. However, I was very thankful I tested so that I could take the appropriate amount of insulin with my shot. So don't fully rely on the automated technology to help you out with days like this. You need to go back to the basics. And number 5, tomorrow's a new day, right? I mean, the next day, I just kind of chalked it up as you had a rough day. Let's try to do better today. Let's, make sure you take enough insulin for your meals and try to minimize your stress. Let's drink enough water, and let's have a much better day than what you had yesterday. So with rough diabetes burnout days, typically they're caused by a combination of things you can't control and things that you can control. Most of mine was caused by things I don't think I could control, but that beginning part of my rough diabetes day was something I messed up on. And I'm still struggling with it a little bit for certain things. Definitely isn't an everyday thing. But I definitely, especially now when I'm out at restaurants, I'm being more particular about making sure I take my full dose for a big meal or whatever. Or I'll just try to eat something low carb so that I don't have to take a large dose and I don't have that fear, if that makes sense. So I've definitely transitioned more to the low carb lifestyle, more so than I ever used to be, since I was first diagnosed. And I'll talk more about this later. It's very helpful for me in school. And it's very, very helpful for me in the long run of not taking large doses of insulin, not having to deal with random fluctuations in blood sugar that can come with large doses of insulin and large amounts of carbohydrates. And I find that as often as I can, especially on weekends, to try to eat more than 4 or 5 times a day, very small portions of like 20 carbs, 30 carbs a piece, and stuff like that. I would say most of my meals, I try to stick around 25 or less grams of carbs now. And days that I'm in school, I'm typically eating 2 to 3 meals, so I really have reduced the amount of carbohydrate I've eaten. My blood sugars still have kind of stayed the same, and I definitely am trying to deal with stress in school right now because school is stressing me out, I'll be honest with you, quite a bit, and I'm trying to implement different things to try to combat that stress, and we're slowly getting the patterns figured out and figuring out kind of what I need to do here. But I will talk more about that in the future, that like my A1C definitely during this schooling is going to be higher than I've been used to. Now I'm still under 7, but I have an endo appointment at the end of this month, and I have a feeling my A1C is going to be like 6.5, and that's the highest it's been. You're like, oh great, 6.5. I'd be happy to be at a 6.5. That's the highest my A1C will probably have been since I was diagnosed at a 12.7. I've been at 6.2 or less for almost 2 years now. But I'm just kind of rolling with the punches and doing my best to be proactive about it and understanding that if I don't take care of myself, I'm going to have diabetes complications. But I'm trying to learn to manage diabetes on the go lifestyle, and it's been challenging, but I will share kind of what's helped me as I go through. But I really wanted to talk about diabetes burnout with you guys today. And if you haven't gone through a burnout day or a rough day where it's kind of like you give up at certain points, you will go through one at some point. And we all can relate to you. We all understand what it's like to have those nasty high blood sugars and know what it feels like. We know kind of what we've done to help you. So please, please, please don't think you're alone when you go through a diabetes burnout day. I have not gone through chronic burnout. I don't foresee myself going through chronic burnout, only because I'm very, I guess, aware of what can happen to me if I don't take care of myself. But if you have a random burnout day, stop it at that day and fix yourself for the next day, or improve yourself for the next day. Do better the next day. Be more proactive at managing the next day, because honestly, if you don't, you're going to fall into that chronic burnout trap. And I'm very thankful I snapped out of it. Not everybody can snap out of it very quickly, and not everybody has that same concept and same mindset to snap out of it. So if you're going through diabetes burnout, I get it. You want to talk to me, please feel free to comment here. Message me on Instagram. Find me on Beyond Type 1. I'd be happy to chat with you. I get it. I've gone through a burnout day. I have not gone through chronic burnout, but I've heard from some of you here that I have gotten you out of burnout several times. And I'm very, very, that warms my heart to know that, like, I'm making a huge impact on somebody's life and how they're managing a disease that can be deadly. And to me, that's like amazing how young I am and how fairly newly diagnosed I am. It's been almost 2 years. But considering that I haven't lived with this disease for decades, that I'm able to help a lot of people out that have lived with this disease for a long time is so incredible to me, and I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for continuing to support this YouTube channel and allowing me to share my life with you. And this is such a beautiful thing to be a part of. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. I post videos every single week about diabetes plus more. Stay tuned. I have my celebration videos coming out, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I have some other creative type idea videos I'm going to come up with, kind of like my T1D Looks Like Me poem that I wrote a long time ago. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I did write it myself. I did not pull it out of a book or out of a magazine or an article. I wrote that from my own heart, from my own mind. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. And as always, leave video suggestions for me down below. You never know, I may just select your video idea for future videos. I have T1D with Maddie episodes coming out. This month's video is going to be rather an interesting one, and maybe some of you have heard of it, and maybe some of you have not in relationship to this area of type 1 diabetes. So anyways, until next time for another video, take care, God bless, be kind, spread positivity, and be thankful. Bye.